All right, yeah, we are back on the stream, back to it. Very exciting. A lot of new tracks. Lots, just checking some tracks for the new mixtape now. But yeah, all right, let's fire up the stream here. Okay, cool. Stream is going. Yeah, hi everybody. Welcome to the new temporary studio. Still working on the big studio downstairs. We got to do all this like renovation and stuff, so that's not going to be there for a while. But things are going pretty well here. We're just doing, yeah, like I said, lots of renovations and stuff. They're ripping up the floors in the other room. We might actually have to get a hotel because the floors are like all nasty. But yeah, hey, what's up, Riley Nance? But yeah, so things are pretty cool here at the new studio. I'm excited. I got a new streaming card too. Very exciting. So when Jacob gets here from New York, I'm gonna have the stream set up properly. Right now, I'm just using the mic in one of my cameras, I believe. Let's just see. Let's go to loopback. Let's see. What are we doing in loopback? Hang on. Oh, weird. Okay, come on. Let's open up loopback. Yeah, okay, so you should be hearing me through that. Hopefully that's still good. Alright, so I'm going to check out some more of these tracks for the new mixtape. The theme for this new mixtape is Night at the Movies. And you're supposed to do tracks either inspired by or sampling your favorite movies. So up next is Moonsplatter. And I'm going to check his track out. I got my nice recreational weed vape here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, California, recreational weed. Very amazing. So yeah, I'm going to check out Moonsplatter's tune and get to it. Okay, so pretty good overall. The mix is a little bit muffled, like all the synths and stuff are pretty muffled and kind of far away sounding. Let's do it again. I love how everybody's been creeping it up over 2 minutes. too well there. Yeah, so I tried to listen to it with just the sub to give it the 3 extremes test. That's like the quick and dirty version of the 3 extremes test, is to mute your monitors and just listen to the sub. And in the sub, I'm hearing hi-hats, I'm hearing reverb, I'm hearing all kinds of shit that does not belong in the sub, and it's making the whole mix a bit muddy and making it a little bit too heavy on the low end. So yeah, so that's my feedback on that. The groove in it is pretty cool, just needs a little bit more spice, but this would make the cut if you spice it up and finish that mix down. Yeah, okay, so Trash Snow, let's see if he's still here. Let's see if he's still here, because he was here on the last stream. I just got so hungry I had to stop and go get some food. But now we have Trash Snow, who's been really progressing a lot quickly, man. He's been really leaps and bounds, dog, leaps and bounds. So let's see what he's got for us today. Oh, this sounds pretty good. Hey, good, you're here. Great texture in the highs. That drum and bass bit's gotta go, dude. It's the rest of the track is a lot better than that section. Okay, so there's a lot going on there that is good. There's a lot going on there that is good. That transition in the drum bass section that follows is not good. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, so problems with that section include way too much high end in the sub. Okay, you gotta low pass your subs at about like probably, I would say maybe 200 to 300 hertz. Anything above that, you want to be quiet. So if you put a roll off, like with a low pass in your EQ, so that the high notes on your sub are quieter, it will sound way better, because sine waves, like sine waves in the mid range, sound kind of weird. Like you have to really do something cool to make it work, you know? So I would really do something about that. I recommend not having that drum bass section entirely. So your groove is cool. I think it could really, like, the way the melodies fit together, the notes that you've chosen, you're choosing kind of like pretty harmonically basic notes. And I think that if you applied strategic pitch shifting on some of the notes in your riff, it would really sound a lot better. I think I might even just. Actually, no, I'll take too long if I show you. But basically, um, the ba 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 na ba ba na, it's kind of like, it's like it's the notes from the Star Wars, the Imperial March, the ba ba ba. So they have like kind of a minor flavor, but a lot of the other melodies have like a bit more of a happy kind of major flavor, and the flavors are, they're just kind of mixing in a funny way. So I think that with a bit of strategic pitch shifting just on certain notes, and make sure that when you do the note, you do it in every repetition of the melody, right? But I think if you go in and kind of pitch shift your notes around a bit, you'll find a better melody will emerge with the same kind of rhythm and the same sounds. Also, I think if you do like your drop, right? The way the drop is, you're starting with your high energy lead sound right at the top of this drop, like, you know? And then it goes into a kind of, from a dance floor perspective, a lower energy level with all those other notes and the melody that's happening. Like when you hit people with a sound that's like, because essentially you're treating the drop as though you were blasting people with sound design, right? And being like, check out this sick drop noise, right? But then, as it turns out, the drop is not really about that blast moment. It's about this kind of noodly, boodly melody that happens, right? So you're going from like crush mode to like wiggle wiggle mode, and it just like, it feels kind of awkward, right? So I think that if you're gonna do those drops that have like, here is some sick sound design, kablast, which is what I think you're trying to go for, right? I would recommend having that blast be its own sound in the song, where it's like, um, almost like a call and response kind of thing, where you just really nail down that blast moment and get it so it's like the kick is going with the side chain, all the envelopes are like, and you just like nail that sound. And then when you want to go back to that energy level, chop in that sound, so you can be like, and then have the melody on a different sound, and then have the melody on a different sound, because you're trying to have your cake and eat it too with this drop noise, in that you're relying on it to do the sound design thing, and then you're going all melody with it, right? And it's just, it doesn't, you need to have more than one sound for those two different purposes, and kind of go back and forth between them dynamically. So I recommend doing that and making your little runs of notes, because that little run of the synth that is playing that little run of notes can maybe still be in the blast if you do it right, but um, where the little runs of notes are, you should do them kind of with it more on a solo tip, because you have to have it come apart from the sub, right? Because it comes in on top of the sub like blam, like they're one big blast of bass drop, and then the sub is doing one thing and all the noodly melodies are doing another thing, right? So, but it's tough to make a drop work where your blast sound is your noodly sound. So I would really recommend making the blast as a separate sound, having the noodles and then having them like other blasts, so that you're kind of going back and forth between like blast, noodle, noodle, blast, noodle, blast, right? And it'll help you to get the kind of emphasis and the rhythm of the thing, so that you can dance to it, and so that you're like, oh, like I understand what to do now, this rocks. Instead of like, okay, we're over here and then we're doing some noodlies and then we're blasting, and then, you know, it's got to be like more decisive between those two modes. And if you go back and forth between like pow, noodly, pow, noodly, it'll be like a dynamic thing. It'll make your drop work a lot better. And then each of those blast notes, you want to like treat those as like a special thing in the checkerboard. You know, like play your synth to find out what your melody is and how it flows. But once you've like picked your notes and everything, you got to figure out like, where do I want the call and response to be? Where do I want the emphasis to be? Are there some accents that are like not on the downbeats? You know, that kind of thing. And really figure out like, what are the rhythmic pieces on your checkerboard. And you go blast, like other thing, blast, blast, other thing, and really kind of make them into a checkerboard where they're taking turns instead of having one that goes all the way through. So that's my advice to you. Okay, so my advice to you is ditch the drum and bass section entirely. In the future, if you're doing D&B sections, give them a bigger, or I guess say more dramatic transition into a very different percussion feel from the hip hop stuff. Give them their own kit or copy of the main kit. I'll say a mutated copy. Whoa, my mouse is being all stupid. What's going on? There we go. Or mutated copy of the main kit. Because it is just a completely fucking different beat. Whoa, what the hell? What just happened there? Must have hit page down somehow on this crazy keyboard I got. Well, I hope I didn't lose my post. Whoa. Wow, my computer's kind of tripping out a little bit. Alright, is it still there? Yes, my post is still there. Okay, so yeah, if you're doing D&B sections, having a bigger build-up into a different drum kit, or like, you know, maybe it's just some extra loops or whatever, but if you have your same beat from the hip-hop section and the D&B section, do both the different beats, it can be really awkward. So I would say have like a build-up from one to the other, or, you know, just make that flow like a little bit more dramatically. And then once you're there, then I would recommend, like, you know, sustaining it for longer and having a bigger transition back. Because if you're doing like, here's this beat, here's this beat, here's this beat, here's this beat, it is tough to make that shit work. And you gotta really like, you gotta nail it or don't do it, right? In your case for this track, I recommend don't do it, because you're not nailing it. Okay, you may someday and I can get you there, but not on this track. It's not ready. Okay, so then also low pass your subs around 300 hertz. Mid notes in the sine wave patch are a problem. Okay, yeah, that's definitely important. And then for your main drop, have your sounds take turns a bit more. Blast with one sound, noodle with another sound. Maybe add more different blasts and noodles in a checkerboard. There are certain notes in, oh yeah, always have the sub match the blast. So when you're doing those big you know, drop moments, you always want the sub to be, because that's where so much of the track's emphasis lies. All right. There's certain notes in your melodies. Oops, certain notes in your melodies that are feeling a bit awkward and amateurish. You should strategically mute some sounds, or strategically shift some of the notes. Don't be afraid to repeat notes, especially with your blasts. Yeah, because there's a tendency when you're starting to just want to have tons of different notes and have shit changing pitch all the time, and it's too much a lot of time. Like a strong, simple melody is better. Yeah, and then you should also have more dynamic in the three extremes. They're full all the time with a similar texture. Make them have more variety. Actually, I'll just say in the highs and edges, because the sub is different. Make them have more variety. Okay, so I think that's probably it. Thanks for watching, Trash. I can always give better feedback if you happen to be there. But yeah, I never really know when I'm going to be doing track feedback. I'm kind of trying to fit in as much of it as I can, but there's been a lot going on in my world lately. Alright, we got Trap Jesus on the job. What you got for me, Trap Jesus? That didn't work. Oh, I was missing the H. HTTPS is not a thing. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Larry's desk.
I need to talk to Detective Mike Lowry.
This is Cap Howard to help you.
You can get me Detective Lowry.
Look, this is not a paternity case, is it?
No.
It's another murder. It's another murder case. It's another murder. It's another murder case.
Sick.
And I'll only talk to Mike Lowry.
Why only Mike Lowry?
None of your fucking business.
Mike, phone, telephone, Mike. He's coming right now. Hold on, please. Hold on. Talk to him. This is the witness. Cap, I can't be no Mike, man. Just talk to him. Now she's going to walk out. This is a witness. Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
This is Mike Lowry.
Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
This is great. I'm totally.
Doesn't talk that way. Talk like him. Talk that way. Talk like him. Talk that way. Talk like him. Sound sexy. You don't sound sexy enough. Who's there?
Mike Lowry.
How do I know it's Mike Lowry?
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry, cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry, cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry,
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry,
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry,
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry, cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
That was amazing. I love it. Okay, that one was great, but way too much talking once again. A lot of you guys are kind of putting too much talking in the track. But that shit is dope. The fucking groove is great. The humor with the which samples are chosen and everything is great. And the way it's like it's kind of like it's dark, but it's like silly at the same time. The contrast between those two is fucking great. It really, really works. I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked. Let's listen to that again. I mean, there's definitely too much talking. But I'm gonna check and see. But yeah, fucking dope. Job. Good job. Drum mix is really good too. Nice and simple, really loud. Great.
Yeah. Larry's desk.
I need to talk to Detective Mike Lowry.
This is Cap Howard. Help.
You can get me, Detective Lowry.
Look, this is not a paternity case, is it?
I
No,
might.
it's another murder. It's another murder case.
Oh yeah, get cracking. Have a go.
Another murder case. And I'll only talk to Mike Lowry.
Why only Mike Lowry?
None of your fucking business.
Mike, phone, telephone, Mike. He's coming right now. Hold on, please. Hold on. Talk to him. This is the witness. Captain, I can't be no Mike, man. Just talk to him. Now she's going to walk out. This is her witness. Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
This is my life.
Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
This is my life.
Yeah, this is really stoked.
He doesn't talk that way. Talk like him. Talk that way. Talk like him. Talk that way. Talk like him. It's not sexy. You don't sound sexy enough.
Who's there?
Mike Lowry.
How do I know it's Mike Lowry?
Okay, I'm gonna go download this. But I want to give them specifically where the vocals need to be cut, because this is dope, and I don't want to, I don't want it to, I don't want them to cut the wrong bits. 'Cause this is definitely going on the fucking mixtape. This is sweet. This is pretty much perfect for the assignment.
Yeah. Larry's desk.
I need to talk to Detective Mike Lowry.
This is Cap Howard. Help.
You can get me, Detective Lowry.
Look, this is not a paternity case, is it?
No, it's another murder. It's another murder case. It's another murder. It's another murder case. And I'll only talk to Mike Lowry.
Why only Mike Lowry?
None of your fucking business.
Mike, phone, telephone, Mike. He's coming right now. Hold on, please. Hold on. Talk to him. This is the witness. Captain, I can't be no Mike, man. Just talk to him. Now she's going to walk out. This is her witness. Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
This is my life.
Hello? This is Mike Lowry.
This is my life.
He doesn't talk that way. Talk like him. Talk that way. Talk like him. Talk that way. Talk like him. It's not sexy. You don't sound sexy enough.
Who's there?
Mike Lowry.
How do I know it's Mike Lowry?
Cuz I'm Mike Lowry.
Lowry, cuz I'm Mike Lowry. Lowry,
Yeah, so I'd say basically that kind of rap edit in that section that starts at 57 seconds in, where there's like the breakdown and then the kind of rappy edit. That shit is so dope. Definitely more of that. Like the more it feels like the sample is rapping and flowing, the more you can dance to it. But if it feels like talking, you can't dance to it. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, cool. Very cool. All right, Aaron, you're next. Oh, nice. Short URL. I like me a short URL. Boom. But yeah, fucking great. That Mike Lowry song rocks. Good job, Trap Jesus. See if he has an unmastered version. Oh, no. Okay. I'm gonna listen to it like that. Wow, this mastering's really bad. Oh wait, there we are. There's a pre-master. Let's listen to that. Can't handle any more of that. I can't. Yeah. All right. So, all right, we got to get him doing some. He's got to do the arrangement exercise ASAP. That shit is crazy. All that bass on top of bass and like no space in the composition. Woo. Woo. We got to do this. Okay. This isn't going to be on the mixtape. I would recommend that you start to work on your composition. Composition. Right away. Please do the arrangement exercise. Using only audio editing. Let's get audio editing. And oh yeah. Okay, so I was just gonna say, basically, he has pretty much stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff, and everything's really loud, and you know, it's all jangly and yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Online?
Yeah, I'm streaming.
Okay, Gab's saying goodbye.
Oh, he is? Okay, here, just a moment. I have to say goodbye to my friend over here. All right, lots of love. It's great to
Hey, thanks for seeing you guys again.
Yeah, man.
So fun.
lots of love.
I'm so glad that you see me after 11 years.
Are you coming to LA on the way back?
No, on the way back, I'll come back in the summer.
Oh, cool.
Come visit
Oh,
again.
yeah, when the place
I'll
is
try
set
to
up.
go on the other side, so I won't be like, you know, have to, hey man, what's in there?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's get a picture, you guys.
Yeah, let's get a photo. All right, sorry about that. I had a friend coming over. I have a friend over who's like in a metal band in China. He's awesome. His name's Gab. I've known him for God, like 12 years or something. But yeah, he's gone to China to play heavy metal. So yeah, we gotta send him off. But yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, Dave, if you want to sample a video game, you could. But this one, we're trying to do movies. But video game samples are good. Okay, anyway, so back to Aaron here. I would say that he really needs to work on his composition because all this stuff is on top of each other and his levels are crazy. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but even that mix down was horribly distorted, like pretty much unlistenable. So he's really got to fix that. So yeah, so I was saying that he do composition, do the arrangement exercise a few times. Got to start there. Oh wow, it's the last one. Is Zodiac. Then I guess I'll refresh. Probably someone else has submitted one since they saw me doing this. All right, yeah, Zodiac. Jesse, you out there? Oh, Christian did. Okay, cool. I'll refresh and get yours. I'm glad I finally have the temporary studio pretty much set up though. It looks pretty good. Like it's reasonable, you know. Oh, Sean Synergy too. Cool. Hey, Jesse, you're there. Awesome. Great intro. Loving the intro.
I'm gonna get you high today.
Everyone fix the memory.
Well, there's definitely a lot that I like about that track. There are some pretty kind of like, in the beginning, there's this tuning issue where there's two melodies playing at the same time, and one of them is half as fast as the other one. I think the one that's half as fast is out of tune. This also. Yeah, that note. Like that shit, it sounds really out of tune. The slower held note sucks. It's gotta go. That note sucks. And the other notes that one hits also are no good. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, I'll check out the newest version. Okay, so yeah, so the held notes are a problem. They're not good. They're not good. Longer held notes, they gotta go. And then in the second half of the song, you have this like really nice kind of melody structure hammered out where it kind of feels like, I don't know if you maybe just didn't come up with it yet when you made the first half or something, but it feels like it's the foundation for a much better first half than the first half you do. Because the first half that you do, when you're making these sounds that are like wah 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 wah, you know, like you really, they have to be super sick before you just rock them repeating like that, you know. And I think those sounds, they sound like pretty standard synth noises, you know, like they don't really, you're not like, holy shit, that noise is crazy, I want to hear that again and again and again, you know. Like they're pretty standard. So it's like making a melody that's relying on the kind of sound design of the sound pulsating like that to drive the melody. It's got to be a really amazing sound before you try that, you know, because it doesn't really work if it's just like a pretty standard wob. So I think like all these wobs and stuff in the first drop, I don't know, they're just not that great. And then the sub is holding down these long notes that go under the whole section, and it's kind of taking away from the rhythmic kind of pulsing energy that you're trying to get out of your other synths. So the whole section just doesn't really work, right? But this shit, once you start getting into some of these melodies later, like here, let's listen to the turnaround and drop again.
Yeah, baby.
You know, like those sounds, that main synth sound, that wah, 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 that sound's got to be amazing. Like it needs way more movement. It needs way more like, just like fullness of tone, and it just needs to have. It needs to be something that you're like, whoa, where did that synth sound come from? Shit, or else it's, you know, because you're pretty much listening to that synth sound with punch-ins. All the punch-ins are great. I'm loving all the little punch-ins and the little like chops and stuff that come in. Those are all great. But I feel as though the main synth sound, I mean, part of it I think is like the moving like phaser thing, because that's something like when you have one of those really aggressive like dubsteppy kind of synth sounds, when they're kind of like those long slow movements and shit are kind of like tranquil and like mellow, you know. It's something that you would expect on like a really pretty guitar arpeggiator that's like slowly moving through space or whatever. It would sound more appropriate on that, whereas that's sort of an effect, because phasers and choruses, reverbs, a lot of that shit, it puts the sound further away in the stereo field, whereas like compression or saturation or stuff like that puts it forward in the stereo field. So you're going for this really in-your-face, forward, like blah 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 kind of dubsteppy way to use that synth sound, but you have this sort of like spacey kind of like hippie, you know, phasery swimming thing happening on top of it, and it's detracting from the repetitiveness that riff needs, and it's also making the sound more far away, you know. Whereas if you want to have something that just sounds like chops of a sample almost, you know, even if you're making it with a synth, having it be like blah, 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 it's like you're slapping us with this sound, right? You know, in terms of the way the MIDI is made and the way the sound is, it's like you're hitting us with the sound. but the sound is like trying to be all flowy at the same time. It just doesn't work. But then when you get to here, right, this shit is extra dope.
I'm with you high today.
Yeah.
Like there's more dynamic in the bass. The riff has that repetitive sample chop vibe that is making a melody like that sort of work. And it's funky, you know. It's like much more like it has, because you have all these kind of like, yeah, baby and shit. Like that shit's all pretty funky and like sassy and fun, right? So to, you know, I think you want the rest of the instruments to be kind of fun and cartoony and colorful like they are in this section. So once this shit all gets going and then it comes to the end, this is all really nice. And actually, like, the way that chord progression sounds just by itself, like the chord progression that you start the track with is fucking great. And I think it's really nice in this outro too. And like, I think if you had like, because this outro is basically what this section should have been. This section there's like those problematic notes in that other instrument. But if it went from like the intro into this kind of drum and bass build up thing, and then into a turnaround, and then basically starts here, like with this as the drop.
I'm with you high today.
And then you're changing notes too much, like you're changing bass notes too much in that melody. Like that melody, if it was like just keep it steady on the same note and like maybe flip the sample backwards or something for a variation instead of making it like like it's a bit too, I don't know, it just sounds, it just doesn't sound right, man. Like I think that a melody like that, the repetition of it rhythmically is kind of what's up, and changing notes makes it feel less repetitive and less like dance groovy and more like, let me tell you a story of a land far away, you know, like it feels all narrative and less it feels all narrative and less like just like, whoa, we're here, right? Whereas the repetitiveness emphasizes the present moment, you know, in a drop. Like, it, you know, it's like you're like, whoa, it's just like dropping and it's dropping and it's dropping, right? Whereas like when there's all these different kind of basic notes, because you're changing the bass note of the motif, right? Your basic note here, it's like da 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 da. And when you start doing that, especially when you're changing notes right on the downbeat, right away, as soon as you hear two chords in that pattern, you're like, oh, this is going to be part of a 4-bar chord progression. Like you can just smell it coming a mile away as soon as you do the you pick like a -5 semitones or -7 semitones or something like on the second bar. As soon as you do that, you're basically saying like, here comes the narrative structure, you know. And it's like that kind of stuff is often better suited for breakdowns, you know. So really like just simplify the sample edits and have the melodies come in a more checkerboardy way and less of a like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 with the chords, right? And then yeah, I think just ditch those bad notes, have it build up into a trappy drop, and then just get really fucking get sound designy with it, not melodic with it, and get in your face and not spacey, because you're in the face, in your face section is all spacey because of the phasers and shit. And then this section, which actually sonically is more in your face, the section with the trappy bit is sonically more in your face, but it's doing this melodic stuff that you just don't need to do. But yeah, so anyway, that's my feedback, Jesse. I think I'm probably just gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say yay. I'm gonna leave you a note that says yay because I don't feel like typing all that, and Sean's patiently waiting. All right, but good job overall, man. There's definitely enough of a foundation to work with that you can make it sick. All the movie samples are fun, and I think yeah, could be a good addition to the old Zodiac Iller Discog. All right, so Sean, thanks for waiting, man. It's your turn. Sean Sokolsky. Sean Naughton, you're next. We have stereo Sean's right now. Stereo Sean's. All right.
Hello? Cool. I hope it's a naked dude.
First of all,
It's the future of gaming.
Pretty cool.
It's the future of gaming.
the music is a little loud. Are you afraid of it? No, I just like it. You would if you had robot ears.
Okay, cool. So that was that sample is good. I really Sean, are you still there, Sean Sokolsky? Give me a little thing if you're still there, because I'm gonna start typing. But yeah, okay. So I love that sample. That sample's from the new Il Gates sample archive. Why is reply not working? Huh? I'll refresh. But yeah, the sample is from Mafunka getting a tune in. Weird. Oh, there we go. Reply is working. Okay, so loving the sample, but the way you chopped it needs a bit of work. The future of gaming sample is a bit out of context seeming when it first happens. And then the best part of the sample, robot ears, and the setup for it just kind of randomly happen at the end. I would recommend having a build up where is the music too loud for you? Lead up to robot ears, the payoff of the joke. Okay. And then drops. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wait. Drop it. Then when it drops, instead of having future of gaming, which is out of context and doesn't make sense, I would recommend robot ears as the sample you chop in when you want to chop in a sample. I'd say Jimmy, you want to chop in for your turnaround. Sample you chop in for the turnarounds. Yeah, this is why we gotta hear that helicopter. You can really hear outside up here. This is why we're building another studio in the basement. Also, you can hear what's going on in the rest of the house. Like, they're playing music in the rest of the house, and you can totally hear it. So yeah, we're building a room within a room and shit. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, so a lot of work, but we'll make it. Okay, so I recommend having an initial build-up. Yeah, that's what I should say. It's an initial build-up. Oh, okay, so Sean, you're there. Okay. All right, so okay, so first off, the sample, the way I've used the sample is kind of weird because the future of gaming thing doesn't really make sense out of context. It's just kind of like, why is there a sample about the future of gaming here? And then the big, like, the money shot in the sample is being wasted. You know, the sample is a fucking sweet sample. If you're gonna use it and have the talking, right, you cut it in, have a breakdown where there's almost no sounds, cut it into the sample, and have the sample be like, is the music too loud for you? And he's like, blah, 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 I don't like techno. And he's like, you would if you had robot ears. And then, boom, drop, right? That's going to make a lot more sense with the sample. And then later, when you need that sample chop spot, you chop in the robot ear sample. That will just come off a lot better, I think. And it'll make much more sense, you know, you're like, because that sample, it's just out of context. It's just like, why have a sample of anything there, you know? Like, it just felt a little out of context. So I recommend that. Now, your groove, your drums are very, very kind of robotic seeming. They don't really, like, I know this like, robotic in a not good way. I don't think like, you know, I mean, yeah, it's a robot ear sample, but I feel like the quantize on them and just the way your kick is, it's just like there's so many, how do I explain it? The kick feels like it's pretty like a standard kick from like a sample library or whatever, but the way it's like hitting at maximum velocity every time, and the way there's like sometimes little rolls of the maximum velocity kick, it just doesn't feel like it flows. It's just not in the pocket, you know? It just feels like, I mean, because I mean, I know to an extent you're kind of going for a really robotic and intense sound, but the lack of velocity changes in the drums and just the lack of kind of rhythmic flow in the drums, like, it feels like the sequencing is really like, just, it doesn't have enough groove to it, you know? Like, it's cool to have it be robotic and groovy, but it's kind of robotic and not groovy, you know? So I think if you're really like, just keep in mind, you know, you want, like, watch the 3 drum racks video again. It's really, I would say that watching the 3 drum racks video and the dance video, because if I was dancing to the song, I think I would have, it would be like a bit, it would be hard to dance. Like, it's just not very inviting as a dancer. So here's the 3 drum rack method here, and then oh, so much flow. Where's dance to find the flow? Yeah, and then dance to find the flow. Because when, like, the drums, there's just there's not a lot of variation in the drums. Like, it's nice to have 2 volume levels with most of your drums, which is why Ableton defaults to sequencing the drums at 100 velocity. Because if you have 100 velocity drums and then 127 velocity drums, you can provide an accent here and there. Now, 100 is still pretty loud, but the accent one is really loud. And right now you have accents on every beat, right? Like they're all at 127 velocity. So having some more variety in the kicks, especially when because you're changing up the rhythm of the kicks a lot, but you're which can be very disruptive to a dancer, and then you're also not changing the velocity. So there's the accents, like where the accents are in the groove is really kind of hard to follow because I'm not talking to you. But yeah, so that where the accents are in the groove is it's hard to follow, and it's kind of disruptive seeming, right? So here, let's listen to it again, and I will show you.
Cool. I hope it's a naked dude.
First of all,
I'd say it's not so much the kick and the velocity of the kicks, but the sequencing of the rest of the groove. Okay, so groove issues. Yeah, it's not so much the kicks, but the drums do feel very very weird, like weirdly artificial. But I think it's the groove sequencing. Like I'm just having trouble following the groove of it. But yeah, I think it's I think that once you get into the drum and bass bit, I think it's the synth sequencing of your bass. Yeah, I think it's those double kicks. That's what I'm talking about. When it's doing chat, digga-tack, doing chat, digga-tack. I think it's that the double kick feels. It just feels really MIDI. It doesn't feel like because a lot of drum and bass, the drums sound better when they sound like a drummer, you know. And there's like a bit more kind of velocity and a little bit more like flow and groove to them. I think it's the double kick that is right before the snare. I think. Okay, so definitely the groove in the synths needs some blasts in it. Some longer notes where they're not all scrambly. It will punctuate the flow. But yeah, so those bits like the because there's so much like it's there's so much fast shit that it's kind of like it's really hard to follow it. And if there was some more like blasts like you know, that come in to really kind of like make it clear where the accents lie as a dancer, because everything is changing like all the time, you know, in your groove. Like your sounds change so much, and there's so much automation. And then a lot of those like pitch slides where it's like on the drums and those little fills, those are kind of like, they're in really sudden, jarring sorts of spots, and it's just hard to deal with them. I think you really need to actually like get up and dance to this, make some simpler sections, and don't have so much like rhythmically going on in every single sound. Like, it's not in the pocket, you know. You really gotta pull some stuff back, really find where the accents are in your groove. Like, it's cool that your kick is actually fairly stable, but the rest of the groove, like the accents are changing and changing and changing. You need some more reliable accents for the dancer to follow. But yeah, that was, I'd say that's my feedback. Change the way you use the sample and make the groove have more reliable accents. And then, I don't know, it just feels like you're like trying to impress us with how hectic and crazy and how much editing has been done and stuff. And it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like a bit like spastic and kind of try-hardy. You know, I think if there was some more like, you know, if the sample was handled a little bit less randomly and more kind of like to the point, and then you have the robot ears like line in the turnaround, and then drop it, and then have that groove be a little bit more easy to flow with, and less like, here's some crazy shit, here's some crazy shit, here's some crazy shit. Like, it's kind of like, there's a point where my ears just close, you know. So I think really like trying to get that flow going with some longer blasts and some, you know, a bit more groove. So carefully follow your accents and then make them really pronounced. If everything is accented, nothing is accented. All right, Christian, thank you for patiently waiting. You kind of look like you need sunglasses in this press photo. Okay, so I like where you're going with that. That one is pretty cool. I'm just recommending a quick selection of Actually, can you just confirm that you're here so that I know that you're on the stream? I should see if anyone's on YouTube. I can't see. Oh, Spiderhound. Okay, cool. All right. So, yeah, so if you could just confirm that you're here, I'll give you some verbal feedback. But I'm definitely going to start by recommending a bunch of these weekly downloads. The side chaining one is the thing that stands out the most. This kind of style of music, you gotta side chain, and you're not really side chaining. You're also not really leveling your drums. Yeah, Kevin, it is live on YouTube, but I don't have the YouTube chat. Actually, I should maybe if I break off YouTube, then there's a way to. Actually, I don't think there's a way to get two of them. I don't think there's a way to get the two of them side by side. I gotta. Hey, what's up, Brian? Yeah, I gotta get the two of them side by side. I'll figure it out. Anyway, Christian, you definitely need to sidechain more. Oh yeah, sidechains. That should be in my dictionary. Yeah, you definitely need to sidechain more. This style depends on sidechaining, and then your two synth sounds are too similar to each other. You're kind of like you're running the synth sounds right on top of each other, and it's kind of like just make them the same rhythm if they're going to be similar so that they sound like one sound, because right now it just sounds like two layers that aren't layering properly, because you have one of them doing like eighth notes and one of them doing or one of them doing eighth notes and one of them doing 16th notes, I think. Whereas if you had one of them doing eighth notes and one of them doing quarter notes, or I think both of them doing quarter notes and just like really powerful with the side chain, you could maybe have one section where they're both doing eighth notes together, and then one section where they're both doing quarter notes together, and then go back and forth between quarter notes and eighth notes together. I think that'll sound a lot better, because basically, you know, they sound so similar that to try to make them different is causing them to, like, to make them sound like two different sounds in the composition is causing them to just sound like too similar to each other. So either make the sounds more different, or make the rhythm of them exactly the same so that they sound like two layers on one sound. Okay? So for that sort of a thing, I really recommend doing the arrangement exercise, which is up at the top. And you also need to work on your leveling. So I would say, you know, for this and for just in general, do the arrangement exercise and work on your leveling. Then your drums are a bit like bland, you know, there's not really any kind of cool extra shit happening in your drums. Like it's all pretty standard, you know. So I would recommend kind of like breaking up your drums a little bit more. But yeah, do the arrangement exercise, really focus on the composition of the track that you're analyzing. And then, yeah, I would say you need to really sidechain things more, and you need to work on your leveling more, and you need to, you know, make sure that your drums are awesome. So, yeah, so there's a selection of stuff to work on there. All right, there is Sean, Spiderhound. It's your turn. All right, here we go. Okay, so great job overall. Really, really good job. I love the mix. I love the chords and everything. The sounds are fucking awesome. Your drop kind of sucks though. And then that transition into the synth sound after is a bit awkward and sudden, and the synth sound has too much like low mids in it. It's kind of like honking and it's a bit too loud. But those sections where you have the strings chopped up with the vocal are fucking genius, dude. They're really, really good. Like those sections are, that should be like the main thing for your song. Just make like a really nice version of that and like, you know, repeat it more. You know, how like this would be an excellent drop. Like this section. Like that shit, that's hands in the air for me. I'm like, yeah, awesome when that shit comes in. And then the I think we're inside a dream thing, that's all great. But this like super hectic drum and bass bit with the synth is not like it's not terrible, but it's not nearly as good as the rest of the song. The sections with the vocal, like I think you should make that vocal chop string thing, like make that into like the hook, you know, have it build up and just try and deliver the perfect repetitive version of that like 2 or 3 times and treat that as the like the hook, you know, because that shit, I hear that and I'm like, yeah, I want to hear that a million times in a row. Like that is so fucking just right in the pocket, you know, it's exactly what you want. So I would say build up to that, and if you can get that to go back and forth with some fucking sick chords, because it already has like a lot of feeling to it, you know, and it's like if you have that for a section and then some chords for a section and then that for a section and then some chords for a section and then a build up and then have that and the chords at the end, boom, fucking hit record. That shit's great, you know. But this other section with the drum and bass bit and the synths, it just feels like, it feels indulgent, you know? So I think if you have, basically, where is it? This shit is and then have like really sidechain chords that are like full spectrum chords, and then go back to the more reserved mix with the chopped up strings and vocals, and then just like super maximized chord blast, lots of sidechain just filling everything, and then goes back to just 808s, clean little drums, and then the vocal and the string going back and forth. It'll be so sick. Yeah, this is great. Like this is really good, man. And the mix on it, like you pretty much nailed the mix down except for that synth. So yeah, really, really good overall. Really, really good overall. Just yeah, I think you really need to focus on the chord. Focus on the chord, or sorry, the bit with the strings and the vocals, and ditch the drum and bassy bits. Like this drum and bassy bit where it's more like texture and stuff is cool. Where is it? That shit's amazing. It's really, really good. Like that bit with all the textures is fine. But then that just kind of suddenly happens and just spoils the party. Okay? But yeah, keep it, and like this is right out this whole because you have that you have the same sounds running over the dance hall beat, and that shit sounds great too, you know. So just go back and forth, like super sick hook, super sick chords, super sick hook, Super sick chords. And yeah, it'll sound really great. Kind of reminds me of Mode Selector. I really like it. Okay, so go back and forth between your sick vocal / string hook and a new section with big high energy chords. Think Minnesota style. Well, Minnesota or Mode Selector. Okay, cool. All right, and then Mafunka, Mr. Kevin Salinas, what you got? Yeah, I love Mode Selector too, Sean. They're amazing. I've seen them 4 times now. I'm pretty lucky.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, chocolate cream. And you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Okay, so, oh, Kevin. Okay, cool. All right, well, here, I'll add the comment. I didn't realize you were here. Okay, so, Kevin, the vocals feel a bit muffled or unclear. Your drums are not very punchy, and the pre-transient on the kick is making it all floppy. That va-boom is just not sounding very good. Your snare also has no impact to it. A/B your track against the reference track. You need much louder and punchier drums and much more present synths. Great sample choice, though. I think you should basically redo the entire drum kit and then start the whole thing over with most of the same sounds. Find a super solid hook / drop and then re-sequence this whole thing using the parts that you have as accompaniment. The parts that you have are all background parts. You haven't made any foreground parts. You need to make foreground parts, make them loud and super sick, and then not have any background shit in the way. Only have what absolutely needs to be there to accompany the main thing, no more. Is that an earthquake? I think that was a little earthquake. Huh. Okay. Alright, anyway, so basically I think you should redo the entire kit and start the whole thing over with most of the same sounds. Find a super solid hook and drop combination, then resequence the whole thing using the parts that you have as accompaniment. The parts that you've made are all background parts. You haven't made any foreground parts. You need to make foreground parts, make them loud and super sick, and then not have any background shit in the way. Only have what absolutely needs to be there to accompany the main thing, no more. Right now it's a big mess of background parts and you're not delivering the punchlines in your vocal sample very effectively. The "We Are the Music Makers" line is classic, and the "Come with me to a world of pure imagination" should be a sick build-up. It's got to be like amazing. And then you've got a bunch of all these just random other lines with tons of effects just sort of in the way of everything else. You need bold and strong leads and then as little else as possible. Okay? So like, yeah, you need a sub bass, you need a kick, you know, you need probably some kind of other rhythm stuff to keep the groove going, and then you need basically one sick thing. And then just literally the absolute minimum rest of the sounds. Just one super sick, super bold thing that you're like, fuck yeah, I love that thing. Right? But right now you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, that's kind of cool. But taking like 10 kind of cool things does not make one cool thing. You need one cool thing and then as little else as possible. Okay? All right. So that is the track feedback for the mixtape. Oh, Pablo has one more. Here's the Fight Club one. Okay. Let's see if the Fight Club one is working now. Oh, it is working. Okay, cool. So this is the last one, and then I'm gonna call it. Oh, I gave you feedback on this one already. Yeah, I gave you feedback on this one already in the other forum. Here, I'll go get it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so, yeah, I'll go copy and paste it from the other forum. Okay, where's... I still got a bunch of feedback. I think I probably have like 2 or 3 pages to do here too. I'm gonna get on top of it though. I'm definitely catching up. I'm not nearly as behind as I used to be. Moving always sucks. Oh, fucking Gusto. Another tune. Wicked. Wicked. Oh yeah, there's like 3 pages. Yeah, I should probably do the rest of this today too. Okay, so how about Gomez? Okay. Keep going, show more. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Okay, so Evan gave you some feedback that you should check out there, and then here's some, yeah. And then from last time, the rest there. Okay, so that feedback all still stands. You still need to do all that stuff. The build up. Yeah, you need to put a limiter. You need to make sure that your vocals are more clear. And then we're all waiting for that. And if this is your first night of Fight Club, you have to fight. And that's like the whole scene is setting up that line and the drama of that line, right? And then you don't give us that line, so it's just like total blue balls. And then also way too much talking. Okay. All right, so that's that. That is that for track feedback for the mixtape. I'm gonna take another break, and I'll probably be back on the stream soon. Lots of love, everybody. Peace.